So, welcome to the Flower Hour with Dr. James Flowers and his business partner who's out of LA. James is here in Houston, and this is Dr. Eagan. Dr. Terry Eagan. So, one thing that I know everybody's having trouble with is just staying sane, in this environment. And I think, wow, if I was having trouble with something before this, I'm sure it is amplified now. And I'm one of those people. So I know that it's tough to reach out to someone, new especially, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you don't have a relationship with a therapist, it's tough to get started when you can't go see somebody. Mm-hmm. So would you mind sharing just a little bit about what you guys do? And then I have some questions from my Instagram followers that they would love to have answered.
Thank you so much for actually asking us to do this. I think it's really cool that you're doing this as kind of a public service to your own customers and your clients. And I'm excited to be here and just visit with you. I'm James Flowers, and I have the J. Flowers Health Institute here in Houston. I'm a psychotherapist from Houston, and Dr. Eagan is a psychiatrist in Los Angeles that actually flies to Houston every Sunday and works with me Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Wow.
Sees patients here, and then goes back to his LA base and sees clients and patients in Los Angeles. And because of what's going on right now, he was in Houston planning on going home a couple of weeks ago. And our governor said, if you come from California, we're going to put you on a 14-day quarantine. So Dr. Eagan is stuck here like so many other people. And
living in Texas.
And maybe he may fall in love with it. Yeah, he may fall in love with it. But you're so right. Right now in our country and really all over the world, anxiety is higher than it's ever been. Stress is higher than it's ever been. Alcohol consumption is actually as high as it's been in our country historically right now.
Well, I'm probably a little percentage of that.
Could be. That's right. Yeah. All of our restaurants are selling alcohol to go. So excited to be here because I think it's a timely topic. Thanks.
Well, appreciate you both so much. So one question is regarding a college-age student that is typically out of state, goes to school in another state completely, has had to move home, quarantine, be responsible for all of their 15 hours of coursework online, in addition to other extracurricular classes they were taking, trying to maintain that online, and also just really worried in general about the pandemic. So he struggles with anxiety anyway, and then those three things are really hitting home right now. So even a good day is a very anxiety-filled day, and anything you guys could touch on that would give just some advice or tools or anything to help someone like that.
You bet. Terry, you're stuck here, so why don't you take that one?
Well, I think the first thing you always want to do is you want to see, what am I doing that could be making it worse? So make sure that you're not making it worse by using substances that'll make you more anxious or drinking too much caffeine. Make sure that you're minding your sleep. That's a time in life when people typically are not getting as much sleep as they need. So really make sure you're trying to get your 7 to 8 hours if possible. I think a lot of times too, people commiserate. So they like to call somebody else and say, hey, what are you doing? Kind of be mindful about who it is that you're communicating with. If you just are reaching out to all of your most anxious friends, you're just going to make each other more anxious and the sky's going to be falling. So be a little bit more mindful of if you're reaching out to your friends who are a little bit more grounded, maybe who don't have as busy of a schedule as you do. I think the disruption especially for a lot of college students, some of them may have been going, or in high school as well, we're getting ready to graduate or have prom. So this time of year is really kind of full with exams and term papers and things. And then to have that disrupted and then have to do it online and not knowing how long that's going to last for, so many questions, and
Right.
really more questions than answers. And that time of life is when people are asking themselves lots of questions anyway.
Anyway, right.
Who am I going to be when I grow up? How do I want to live? How much money am I going to make? All of that. So it's a really, really tough time to be coming against all of it. I would recommend that people control what they can, so to try to stay on top of their schoolwork. Don't get behind and make that worse. The other thing is to try to keep a bit of a regular schedule. So if you can kind of get up at a regular period of time, create a way in which you're studying X numbers of hours, then eat, take a break. Try to create kind of a rhythm and a pattern. It's easy when you're at home to put things off and let things kind of get unwieldy. But the more you can create a schedule for yourself, I think the better off you'll feel overall.
Thank you.
Something I want to throw in, if you don't mind, Marnie, is, for a college student, being away from all of their friends and continuing to be in some sort of routine. FaceTime is amazing for doing that. And FaceTiming a group of friends. Now on your iPhone, you can put, 10 or 12 people on an iPhone together. And Zoom meetings are so popular right now. Last night, I had a group of my core friends. There were 6 of us on a phone call together. And I was dreading it. And I thought, we're going to all be on the phone together for an hour? And it went by like that.
Yes.
It was amazing. And we laughed for an hour because we can't be around each other right now. And we all had our cocktail, that we were sitting
I've
in
seen
front of.
so many of those
It's been
happy
amazing.
hours on Zoom.
But keeping in touch with friends and Zoom time and Zoom meetings and FaceTime meetings really help stay connected. Also, exercise. I know that the gyms are closed, but getting outside and walking, running around the block a few times, talking about it with your parents, talking about it with your friends, and also knowing that I'm not in this boat alone.
Right,
Every
that's
one of us
huge.
are in the same boat. Yeah.
So speaking of parents, I actually have 2 college kids that one is at A&M, a junior, one is at the University of Texas, a sophomore, and they're in this situation. The first week of them being quarantined here with me was really rough by the end of the week.
Sure.
Like I had lost all my patience with them. They couldn't understand why I was telling them what to do because they're on their own.
Sure.
And so that was really hard. What should I at least attempt to do to kind of minimize that and be respectful that they're going through something and I'm going through something. I mean, I'm working out of my bedroom because it's the only room I can close off. But anything a parent can do, if a parent is, struggling with that.
I think the most important thing that everyone...
I've got the drinking. I'm drinking.
You got the drinking,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
Other than having a margarita, the most important thing that I think a parent and a child can do or a family can do that a lot of people just don't do is talk about it and say, we are in this house together, guys. And I know that you go to A&M and you're at University of Texas and we're all on our own and all of a sudden we're here together and this is going to be a stressful time. And I'm going to do my part and I know that you guys are going to do your part and get out and do a little exercise and work in your bedroom, watch Netflix in your room for a little bit, have dinner or lunch together and then kind of separate. But I think we all need independence and we all need a little bit of healthy separation. And I think the key is healthy communication. And letting them know when you're stressed and them having permission to let you know when they're stressed out and talking about it, I think is the key.
So when I said nothing for 4 days and then lost my cool on everybody, that wasn't good.
Not a great thing to do.
Not
Marty.
great. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's get to another person's question. How to manage the fear. So many people have said, I'm terrified of getting the virus.
Yeah.
When I talk to someone and they're just a wreck, oh my gosh, I think I have it. I think I'm going to get it. If I get it, this is what's going to happen to me. How do you respond to something like that?
Good time for me to say that Dr. Eagan and I right now work in an office together all day long. We're still seeing patients all day long. We're on our own Zoom meetings with patients as well. You and I are several feet apart here. We're social distancing. social distancing is important. We're a little bit closer because we're in the space together all day anyway, but what's your thought?
I think, there's still so many questions about who's the most vulnerable to get the virus. If you get it, the majority of people have a very mild case. Some of the estimates now are that 50% of people who get it will never know that they even had it. So many people who are worried that they're going to get it already had it.
And they're kind of psyching themselves up.
That's
like
right.
they're talking themselves into this frenzy, and it's all self-talk.
That's right. And, the estimates are about 10% of people have a little bit of kind of hypochondriasis anyway. So about 1 in 10 people tends to be more thoughtful about being sick, or I'm worried about my skin, or I didn't sleep, therefore I'm not going to have a good day. So that they're already predisposed to it anyway. I think to limit how much time you spend watching television and listening to news
That's a good idea.
Turn the news off.
Turn it off. You can get an update in the morning or in the evening, but this minute
all
by
day
minute onslaught is not helpful for people. I think to also remember that the vast majority of people who do get sick recover and do well. That doesn't make news. News about how many people got better is not really interesting news. Our minds gravitate more towards a negative story. So I think that's important. Then to follow common practices that you hear every morning. The Surgeon General is reminding people about social distancing and about hand washing and about kind of covering their mouth and things of that nature. So just pay attention to that. Do what you can.
Yeah, do what you can.
Be sensible. I think sometimes it's frustrating to see, for example, people in New York when Central Park is just packed with millions of people, even though the government had asked if they would not do that. Remember, that's not being sensible. The likelihood of having a problem is increased if you do that.
Right.
So try to follow
just
the
listen.
guidelines.
Yeah. So another question that someone has asked me is they lost a loved one right before the quarantine orders went into place, and they don't have their normal support system. They can't be with their family to help get through this. What can that person do to be able to properly grieve and not be completely stunted by that?
So it's a great question. It reminds me a little bit of an experience I had when I was a resident. My great-grandmother passed away in Tennessee, and I was in school in California, and I was on call, and I couldn't get off to go to the service. So I couldn't grieve with my family. It was really very difficult. It wasn't the same kind of thing as being concerned that if I go to be with them, I'm going to get sick or make someone sick. But it was that I
But you still couldn't.
With my loved ones.
Right.
So I talked to them on the phone. I sent an arrangement to a service. Now some people can't even have a service at this time. I also set up in my dorm room a little altar space where I had some pictures. I went and I actually went to the store and got the cologne that my great-grandmother used to wear.
Oh,
and I put that
that's
on the
so cool.
and I had a little flower, and then just a few little things that reminded me of her. I think this is a good time to go old school and actually write a handwritten card. People sometimes don't really know how that is. It feels different to write something in hand than it does to type.
I've done that. I've written a letter and not to send, but just to get it out. And it's crazy how well that works for just processing something through. So even if she wanted to write letters to her loved one that passed away, or anything like that would help.
Great idea.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
The other thing too is, remember that other people in the world are also maybe grieving someone, and they're in the same situation. They couldn't get there in time, or they can't travel. So remember that there may be other people around you who are having a similar experience. Don't be afraid to talk about it. It's awkward and difficult. The other thing is, maybe make a decision that, when this is over, maybe in September, October, a group of us are going to get together and have like a little memorial time together, so that you have something to look forward to.
Right.
that will be coming, and then that's a chance to be together with
And
your
it
loved
doesn't
ones.
feel like the whole thing was just skipped.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, what about, I have a question here. Tips for checking on and helping a friend who suffered from depression and substance abuse. I'm worried that they will become more depressed and start to use again. How do I properly handle that situation?
Probably the single most important question of the day.
Okay.
That's a great question, especially right now, because in normal times, when we don't have this pandemic going on, there is a whole population in our world that have anxiety and depression and a fear of going out, or so depressed that they can't get out. I'm working, Terry, Dr. Eagan and I are working with a patient right now who has major depressive disorder, an extremely wealthy woman that has the means to do anything in the world that she wants to do, that literally spent 18 hours a day in bed for the last
And she
5
just
years,
can't.
and cannot get
Right.
herself up and get out of bed. Wasn't necessarily suicidal, but was helpless and hopeless, and felt that she couldn't do anything.
So how could a
And-
friend help with that?
Yeah, and so a friend, her best friend, would check on her every day, call her and say, "How are you, Joan? How are you feeling today? What can I help you with today? What can we do? Can you get up and have a cup of coffee with me?" And finally, one day, her children would call her, her family would call her, and she told us just yesterday that just getting those phone calls made the world of difference to her. She knew she didn't have the energy to get up out of bed, but she knew that she was loved and she felt loved, but didn't know how to change it. And then one day, her best friend came over again. She would text her, she would call her, she would email her, offer to come by. She'd drop an arrangement off at her house or have it sent, a nice little floral arrangement sent. And so that communication and letting people know that you're there, they're not alone, and that you will be there when they're ready to reach out.
I think that's
Yeah.
a good point, because
Yeah.
if you reach out a couple times and they
Yeah.
don't answer your phone call or they don't return your text, I think
Yeah.
most people would go, well, guess they don't want to talk to me.
Right.
And I think that just for my own information, to realize that if I'm reaching out to someone and they are not responding to me, that does not a clue to stop.
Right, and it doesn't mean you're stalking them.
Right, yeah. So
if it's a love interest, it's different.
yeah, exactly.
If it's a friend, you're right.
I saw him 5 times.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah.
But just calling and checking on them, and
Just
if you don't get a
consistency,
response, just
right?
consistency.
Okay.
Just a little text. I'm here if you need anything.
And everybody loves to hear their name spoken. So I always think it's important to say, you call, I love you, Marnie. If you use their name, it's a very intimate thing. And actually there's a type of kind of therapy work called spiritual direction. And a part of that is to use the person's name almost every second to third sentence. And you'd be really surprised at how it draws you in.
Okay.
Even though we've heard our own name
That's
off and on.
so true, because normally I would just text, "Hey, I love you. Let
Yep.
me know, I'm here for you." But to use their name, or if you can get them on the phone
Yeah.
to say that, that's a really nice tip.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
a very powerful kind of feeling to hear your name, and everybody loves to hear that someone loves them. I'm thinking of you, and I'll check on you later.
Okay, so this one is probably going to get the most attention. So, tips for people in a marriage that were already struggling and have found themselves together in the same house 24/7. Holy crap.
Holy crap.
Right?
Can
That's
you-
amazing. That's got to be really, really tough.
It is. Can you imagine around the world? We're focusing on this country right now, but in the United States, the number of men and the number of women who travel and leave on Monday morning and come home on Friday afternoon, who are now living in a house together with their spouse and their children.
Oh, and every kid they ever knew.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
24 hours a day.
Right.
And it is struggling. And last night on the local news here in Houston, domestic violence has nothing to do with socioeconomic status. Across the board has increased 81%
Whoa.
this year since January the 1st.
Whoa.
And that was from the Houston Police Department last night. And it's just that simple.
So people
are forced to be together right now that really don't know each other, right? And we're really learning who we are.
If real estate goes to the side, I told my girlfriend, I said, I'm going to get my law degree. I'm going to be a divorce attorney. And, I've got business just lined up out,
Courthouses are going to be packed and backed up. Yeah. Absolutely.
So what can they do to, I don't know.
I'm going to stick with the word I love most in therapy is communicate, is to talk about it and to say, honey, damn, this is hard. and we have not been together. You are on the road 4 and 5 days a week, and now we're together. It's hard for me, and I know it's hard for you. And break out a board game and play some games and do things to get to know each other again, because people are not. We're forced together right now.
Well, and even if like you saying the couple that is just because of their positions or whatever they do, they're not together a lot. That's even people that aren't having marital trouble. So, even I think anyone in any type of relationship is really having to think, okay, how can we get through this?
Right.
With the same number of people.
We're struggling. We are struggling across the board, and especially in relationships right now. New couples that met right before this aren't getting to spend time together. People that are dating for a while are sometimes stuck together, right? And marriages were stuck together, not stuck together, but kind of stuck together, right?
Yeah.
We're in the same house 24 hours a day. Many of us. I'm fortunate because I get to get up and go to work every day because I'm in healthcare. But talk about it, get yourself some space, go out and exercise, communicate, play board games, call your friends, talk about how your best friend is getting along with her husband or his wife or what have you. Do you have anything?
I think a lot of times people say, I have to make a decision right now. This feels so untenable, I can't take it, I'm out of here, I'm getting a divorce, I'm calling an attorney, now I know. I just think just you don't have to make any decisions today. Just honor that it's a difficult time. Keep in mind, a lot of times before people get ready to retire, they spend a couple of years talking about what it's going to be like and what are we going to do with our time, and if it's going to be an empty nest situation, maybe we're going to do some downsizing, but people usually had a chance to prepare. This caught people off guard. They didn't have a chance to make really any plans. They're also cut off from their support system, so like you can go out and play golf or something with someone. So don't feel like you have to come to some final conclusions about your relationship. Give each other some space. I think the other thing that happens is a chance to practice saying, I'm sorry. That's difficult for most people. It's difficult for me to make an apology and mean it, but it's a chance to practice. I'm sorry, I know I must be on your nerves. I was sick this morning. Please forgive me. I'm doing the best I can. And maybe we'll all get into practice of being able to apologize a little bit more easily, and then when this is over, we'll have less war. Who knows?
So you brought up domestic violence, and I don't have any specific questions from people about that, and I'm not surprised. I think that anyone suffering from domestic violence is doing so mostly silently. So just speak to, if you are suffering from domestic violence, just what is the first thing you should do?
The very first thing that you should do is reach out to your friends. Just reach out and say, I need some help. I need someone to talk with. Domestic violence increased in Houston from January to now 81%. And that's reported cases. So just think, Marnie, of the number of cases of domestic violence that are not even being reported right now. And the best thing that you can do is talk to a neighbor, talk to a friend, get out of the house, go to a friend's house, reach out.
Just even if you're sitting like in the driveway 6 feet apart.
Absolutely. Get in the car and drive around the block.
And people that are really in danger and suffering, there's probably a hotline that they can
Absolutely.
call,
There
and
are
that's
hotlines.
still working, right?
If you dial 311 right here in Houston and say, I need help for domestic violence and I need help for a shelter, they will give you 5 phone numbers right there and they'll connect you.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so lastly, you know, say somebody's like, you know what, I've always thought I should benefit from going to therapy. I've never done it. This is really showing me that I could use that support right now. How do they go about finding a therapist when you can't go meet anybody? So
Sure.
how would somebody get going on that path?
There's an amazing website called Trusted Provider Network. It's tpn.com, and it's trusted providers that have been vetted by a company out of New Orleans, actually, that looks at licensure, that looks at complaints, that vets the therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist. You put in your zip code and a number of people will pop up and it tells you all about them with a bio. You can also go to Psychology Today. Although psychologytoday.com and type in your zip code, it'll give you therapists and they'll match you with a few questions. So there's online.
And they could maybe do a telemed or Zoom.
Yeah, everyone, probably 80% of therapy right now in this country, probably around the world, is online right now.
Okay,
We're
so
doing
it's
it in
possible
person,
to start.
You can start therapy with a new therapist today. So I'd go to Trusted Provider Network or Psychology Today.
Okay.
And my therapist is in Los Angeles. I'm stuck in Houston. I'll be talking to my therapist tomorrow on Zoom because she's doing the majority of her practice now. They decided as an office to just not go in and to do that. So you can also ask a friend of yours if they have a therapist that they're seeing or a psychiatrist that they're seeing, because that provider is probably doing consultations via this format. And even if that person is not available because their practice is full, I get requests every day, hey, do you know of a therapist in such and such a community? Part of what's great about the business that we're in is that we know people all over the place, or I can call and get a name if somebody gives me a name. So I'll tell someone, look, this may not be somebody that I know myself, but it's come through a trusted network of people that I like. And so you make a call, have a consult. Sometimes just talk on the phone for 15
Yeah,
20
just to
minutes.
see how it feels.
Absolutely.
What about, since you are here in Houston, do you have any availability for new patients, or?
We do, at J Flowers Health Institute, it's jflowershealth.com, and our number is on our website. I don't want to plug us necessarily here, but absolutely, I'm taking new patients. Dr. Eagan is taking new patients. We do them in person and we do them via Zoom every day of the week right now. We're working literally 7 days a week because of the need for mental health therapists right
And
now.
so it can be anything that, from addiction to depression to anything I've
Marriage
covered here,
counseling.
everything.
Living with your children who are home from school.
Right, okay, yes.
Any anxieties, depression, stress, bipolar disorder, whatever it is.
Okay.
You bet.
Yeah, great.
I think one other thing to keep in mind is that a lot of people are really freaking out around their finances. So you're in this intersection of not knowing if I'm going to have money coming in
It's
from
so
my
true.
job, or the stock market dropped at the very same time that I might need to use some personal services for my mental health. I would really, really, really encourage people to value their mental health enough to put the money down around it, because without your mental health, it won't matter what resources you have, you won't be able to enjoy your life. And this is a really, really, really difficult time, and we want people to stay healthy so they can get to the other side and enjoy all the innovation and wonderful things that will come when this is over with. So don't be afraid to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
And some insurance plans pay for that, right?
Many insurance companies now, they're required to pay for mental health services now.
Okay.
So absolutely. Find a good therapist, find someone.
I think people don't know that. I think they think.
I think a lot of people think all therapists are cash paid,
Right.
and that's just not the truth.
Okay.
You can also dial the 800 number on your medical card for your health insurance, and they will give you a resource of therapist as well.
Okay.
But I like a good guide like TPN or Psychology Today, or calling a friend and saying, hey, who's your
Yeah,
therapist?
it's kind of nice to have at least they've been vetted.
a warm handoff.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for
you.
coming
Thank you.
over
was great.
and visiting with me. I really want to be a resource to people during this time, and am going to need to call on experts like you guys. So
I think it's so
thank you.
amazing that you, as a realtor, thought of this and that you're doing this for your customers, right?
Yeah,
What
you
an
know, I
amazing
mean,
resource. Yeah.
it's mental health doesn't
Yeah.
discriminate either.
Sure
And
doesn't.
so
Absolutely.
I know that if I'm going through some things that, you know, might as well share the wealth. I always
That's
tell
right.
people I've been through enough therapy. They can just call me.
Absolutely.
I'll tell them, oh, okay, so what you need to say, you know. But
That's right.
you guys are awesome. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
doing it.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody that tuned in and took time to watch this valuable interview with the best in the business, Dr. Flowers. This is going to be Flower Hour with Marnie, and I'll be doing it on a continual basis. So anytime you have questions, you can shoot me an email, message me on social media, and I will keep them safe for the next time that we are all together and can address some more issues. But I want you all to know that everybody is going through something that they have never been through before, and having feelings that you don't normally have is really normal. And I personally use a therapist and encourage everybody to get support wherever it feels right for them. So I will see you guys next time.